There's this light in me that made me always believe that because I was kind, the same in others I'd see. I just wanted to be loving, and in others see the same. But like a pound of bricks, I was hit when I found out that wasn't always the case. See, that trusting spirit I had as a child, it served me just well because I was surrounded by loved ones who the truth they'd always tell. But as I grew into a woman who had my own children to care, I learned that the schools, the doctors, the government, the integrity wasn't there. With that same trusting spirit, I followed their rules. I fed my family their food and we watched their news. I let you feed me and educate my mind. You tell me what's wrong because you have told me my own answers I cannot find.
8 hours a day you take my children and fill their minds with your will, and when they get home to the TV, because I'll be at work still. Songs of destruction will be the mantra in their tender little heads on every commercial and media, so through their subconscious it spreads. And when I don't recognize their behavior or who they have become, I will look to the ones who have programmed them, because surely I wasn't the one. I mean, I birthed them and I paid for their way, but they have been under your influence since the very first day. And every few months, like clockwork, we will visit for our injections. We will never refuse, never flinch. How absurd for us to have any questions. I mean, this is what we are supposed to do. We have been groomed our entire lives. Get in line, raise your hand. Don't you dare cause a strife. When I want your input, I will let you know what your answers could be. You choose from what has been outlined. Choices 1, 2, or 3. No need to be creative or even to think. The powers that be have spoken. They smile. Wink, wink.
Maybe in the moment I couldn't see, but we now have years of data to observe. Under your instruction, we are sick, tired, lost. This type of existence we do not deserve. My trusting ways I must evaluate, because these results I do not like. Every power I have had, I have relinquished my rights.
The nutrient-rich food, a gift from this earth, you have zapped it and poisoned it until it had no mineral worth. You've replaced our natural gifts with formulas made in labs. You made it look pretty with targeted commercials so our children could not pass. You even provided me with a list, a pyramid, if you will. You told me I would be healthy if I followed and every day took a vitamin pill. I trusted you because it was written and spoken by the man in the white coat. He was smart. He went to the best school, carried a PhD. When you forced us to have babies in hospitals, he was the first person my baby would see. You knew that connection was sacred. One's emergence into this world, you were breaking the order of nature, but convinced me through lists of studies and pamphlets in my direction you hurled. It used to be mama, the first voice and touch baby's face would see. But this new civilized way was supposed to be better for me.
Although Black women in particular are dying in hospitals at alarming rates, this seems to be one of your most common traits.
But Doc, we got way more routine visits than Grandma ever had. So why, after years under your care, it seems like we're doing really, really bad? The food you gave me made me sick. And yes, you provided some drugs that seemed to do the trick, but like everything else you provided, it was just a matter of time before those side effects would become evident and I'd be experiencing new alarming signs back in your office. And I'm shamed, it's my fault, but you didn't acknowledge the studies and teams of scientists purposely designing foods that made me hooked. I have been on drugs since birth, but that's not a conversation you willing to have, to admit your culpability in leading me down this path. It feels this system is broken. And things have gone all wrong, but my new awareness makes me think this might have been the plan all along. We are your customers, your consumers, if you will. From us you manipulate and our paychecks you steal. You in fact might be the wisest business of them all. You feed us the food that ensures your doctors we have to call. And your doctors give us medicines, but never any cures. A guaranteed monthly revenue they have just secured. And the children will be hooked and believe all that you say because you have been their authority figures since about 6 weeks and 2 days. And every time you want them to believe something new, you'll just put it on a TV commercial. You know that will get through. And you know the parents will be too exhausted themselves to see what's going on. They have bought into the same system and now have to work so hard and be strong just to pay the rent and maybe get a decent car, trying to claim a little piece of that life. But it always seems so far. families educating their own children. You told us that was far too much of a burden for us to bear. The education system would be free and our children would be better prepared. But 12 years in your classroom on our children has been really tough. Our children now look themselves in the mirror and they fear they are not enough. 12 years of your history and they have no idea of their roots, studying a history that indeed has far too many loops. Your educational system has taught obedience and how they are expected to behave. To me, the end result is more of a modern-day slave. You preach to me awareness and research and cures, while all along you are the creator of the pain we endure. And while we're at it, let's be real. Why are we talking about cures? Let's talk about prevention. How about the fact that every food, medicine, makeup device you sell to us is the beginning of disease inception? You have lost my trust and you cannot earn it back. You can't poison me on Friday and think by Wednesday win me back. You have forgotten your position. When it comes to Mother Nature, you thought you were superior. You are the novice. It's your knowledge that's inferior. Every study you have and every fact you find, you're trying to discover her why. You are trying to understand her mind. But your solution is always incomplete. Mother is perfect and works in sync. See, you see the end result and think you can skip all the steps in between. You don't have the understanding that each process and step is essential to the thriving of the being. Your logic says mother's breast has milk, end result, get it out. No respect for the importance of mother's breast to baby's mouth. The healing, the transfer of information that is shared. Baby is getting specially formulated nutrients, antibodies to dangers that you didn't even know were there.
Simply providing milk or a bottle to drink is not only wrong, it's negligent. In your mind, let that sink. But this is how you operate. You do it every day, treating our temples in such barbaric ways. Your grocery store sells everything but actual food. I have done my research. I am no longer fooled. The water, the fruits, and even the air. How savage a person to poison their own people and not even care.
My pantries are filled by the goddess collection, not one pesticide, artificial, GMO herb in the selection. See, I've pulled my children from your schools and ceased all medications. I've turned off my TV and gotten back to daily meditations. You could never be my teacher after what I've seen you do. I'm going back to ancestors for answers. I'm going back to the roots. This is a reminder. No, this is a wake-up call for those who do not know. Do not trust the lives of your families and your babies to people with no soul. You do not need master's degree for knowledge to come through. You got ancestral knowledge that can only come through you. The birds seem to know when to fly and deers how to give birth. No teachers, no lessons, yet they know how to flow with the earth. Give up the toxins that dilute the messages and the instincts that you hear. Your senses have been diminished because you have been drugged and you just weren't aware. Wake up. Wake up. This is your SOS call. Take back your life. No longer for their lies will you fall.